Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a hare's ear soft hackle. And we're going to put a little bit of weight on there just to get that fly down through the water column. I'm going to use 15 thousandths lead-free wire. And I'm going to put it towards the back. Put about 10 or 12 wraps on there. It really depends on how far you want it to go down through the water column as to how many wraps you put on there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this tag off. And I just kind of twist it there. I want to keep it a little bit towards the back. By keeping it towards the back, you're going to keep the front of the fly up. You know, the back of the fly and the barb and everything is going to pull down. So this way it will look like the fly is emerging. This hook is a 1 extra long size 14 nymph hook. I'm going to use black thread. Then we're going to just start the thread behind the eye. And when I get to the lead wraps, I'm going to actually hold my finger on there till I get that thread up on top. And it keeps sliding off for me. Otherwise, if you don't hold it in place, it's going to just keep pushing back and back and back and back. Which that kind of pushed back a little bit too far, so I'm going to pull that to the front there a little. Get that. There we go. Then put a couple of wraps, and I'm kind of putting tension towards the front there just to keep it held in place. Now, if you want the fly to ride more evenly, keep it in the middle. If you want the nose down, you push it towards the front there a little bit. And also, you can tie this without weight at all, and it would make a very good, a very good dry fly. You could use it wet, or you can dry it off and fish it dry, and it would be a very good dry fly also. Now I have number 16 tinsel. This is gold and silver. I'm going to tie it on with the gold side to the shank. And when I wrap it, we're going to see the gold side. I'm looking at the silver side now. But when I wrap it, the gold side will be on the outside. Now I'm going to actually turn this upside down. I'm going to put some wax on there first. I got a nice cube here of beeswax. When I was recently in Minnesota, there was a little farmer's market there, and this chunk of beeswax, 3 inches long, 1 inch wide, was only $1. So great deal there. Great for waxing your thread. Now I'm going to take hare's ear dubbing, and you can see the hare's ear. It's very choppy and spiky. So that's one of the reasons why you want to put the wax on there. It will help you to dub it. It'll help grab onto the material and keep it from falling off as you're trying to dub it. Alright, my rib is kind of getting in the way there. Yep, I guess I'm going to have to hold that on the side, or there we go. Get that out of the way. We're going to see how far this goes. It's not the prettiest dubbing job, but it will do. We're going to go and And we got about halfway, and it's okay if it's nice and thick like that, because as the fish eat these, it's going to pick, the teeth are going to pick small amounts of the dubbing out, and you want that fly to last for several fish, obviously. And also when I wrap the rib, you're going to see it shrink. And I'm going to put a little bit more on there. With this type of hare's ear, with the hare's ear as opposed to the hare's dubbing, the hare's ear is more choppy. Hare's dubbing has a lot of underfur in it, which basically comes from, they'll just like, I don't know for sure, but I suspect that they just shave the rabbit skin and then put it in a blender, and that way you get a lot of the underfur in there. There we go. Looks like I have too much, but still you can never have too much of the, well, you could have too much, but you're going to see how much this is going to go down when I wrap the rib. I'm going to go ahead, you could just easily rotate your vise if you have a rotating vise, and put 3 or 4 turns in there. Secure it with 3 or 4 turns, turn it over and give that a few turns itself. Then you could go ahead and get rid of some of the spiky hairs there. If you want, some guys like to have it on there. Now I'm going to take a partridge feather. I have a partridge feather, and on just about all the partridge feathers you're going to find an after shaft feather. So we're just going to get rid of all of this fluff. On both sides. Now, depending on how thick you want your hackle, you can tie it in with both sides, but I tend to remove the hackle from the top side. When I say remove it from the top, you put the feather to the hook shank, concave side to the hook shank, and then you remove the top. This is going to give you a more sparse hackle. Now I'm going to grab the tip, and I'm not going to pull them off, I'm just going to pull them towards the rear. Now we're going to tie this in by the tip. And we can lift that up and trim that off. There we go. Now I'm going to take my delicate hackle pliers, and we're going to put that stem in there. And these hackle pliers, you can see, has a hinge. And the purpose of that hinge is to keep the hackle from twisting as you're going. It will keep it aligned as it is, and you can see the hackles are going towards the rear. We're going to wrap that whole thing there. Sometimes you got to brush them back. And there we go. Now I'm going to secure that. Get at least 1 or 2 wraps, and then you can take your hackle plier off. I'm going to fold that stem back, wrap on top of it, and you can usually just break it right off. Starting out, you might want to just trim it off. Then we're going to clean up the head. Okay. Take our whip finish. Hey, give it 3, 4, 5, as many as you'd like. Usually 3 is sufficient for me. Now here's a nice little tool. This is a cuticle trimmer for cleaning your cuticles. Keep it nice and sharp. And I call it the poke and snip because you poke and it's snipped. I got one sticking out at the front there. I'm going to take a little bit of head cement. Clean that brush off fairly well. Go ahead and mark that or get that. And here we have a heavier hackle or a double hackle. I didn't peel the one side off, and you can see that's a little bit heavier. And one thing you can do, which is a good idea, when you make these and you make them with lead wires or with weight and without weight, use a different color thread on the head for the ones with the weight and the ones without the weight, and then you'll know which ones are weighted and which ones are not. So I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Let them know I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase this or any flies that I make, please go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.